Hello, hope you're all doing well, and that the semester is going well, and that things are just going well in your lives in general. So today we're going. Goal setting is a absolutely vital part of strategy, but also of your life in general. So being able to set goals and talking about goals is you can never go wrong with trying to reinforce your understanding and your ability to set goals. And I'm going to show you a few quick things here on how to do that more effectively. First, if you call up the slides for the modules, they're there, and the first one is basically what we're going through in terms of the strategy development process. So we've gone through these steps as we go along. I haven't covered the viability of your business idea too much. We did remember in the principles of strategy development, we covered that on viability, which is making sure you have something that's going to be a big impact, making sure that you have the resources and commitment and passion, funding, etc., and also making sure you understand the drivers of that business. That's basic business viability. If I have a little tool, I'm going to show you how to work with that better. But we have covered it, but I'm going to do more because that leads into a lot of your final project. And then we have how to develop goals that matter. And so we're going to look at that today on goals. And then you'll see the next steps we'll go through documenting the strategy. And we might cover the bonus steps a bit, but the main things are really there. Now, the reason this is here, this is exactly how you do a strategy. It's always in this sequence and it always follows this path. And if you do it a little bit differently, you can get kind of twisted around. But you follow this path basically from understanding if you have a business that should work, to setting your goals for that, to doing a SWOT analysis, understanding who the competitors are, getting your ideas that are directly related to achieving your goals, and how to test those ideas. When we see that, you'll be really impressed on how there's a definite way to test the power of your ideas through logic. Then from there, you develop action steps, and then you document it. These go one after the other. They follow in logical sequence and in order, and they're highly effective as a way to develop strategy you can use all your life if you care to be involved with strategic thinking and strategy formation. Okay, let's look at the second slide there. Now, goals are really important, and goals really do matter, and knowing where you want to go is the first step to getting there. You hear that all the time, and it's true that if you don't know where you're going, then how can you head off? It's like saying, let's go somewhere in a car, and you hop in a car and start driving. You might be going exactly the opposite direction you need to go. So you need to know where you're going and what those goals are. And written goals in particular are extremely powerful. In fact, people will say that if you look at highly successful people and not so successful people, that a key differentiator across the board is that successful people always have written goals. People always write down their goals. Now, I've already just finished, maybe New Year's, and you're looking at setting your goals for the year or your New Year's resolutions. That used to be extremely common. Now I found that people do it less and less, but it's really important to do something like that. And why not start the year new? Why not start fresh? Cast away things that kept you in and then really focus on the things that you determine would make you a happier, better, more effective, better person, and write them down. Written goals are almost always attained. It might take you longer or shorter to get there, but you almost always get there. If you don't write them down, there's very little chance you'll get there. It's like putting. If you don't, they always say never up, never in. If it's not close enough, it's not going in. Every shot, every untaken shot doesn't score, etc. And the same thing with goals. If you don't put it out there what you want to do, you almost have zero chance of obviously getting there. So, and there are a lot of other benefits of goals. One thing is that written goals provide focus and save time. And in business, it's really important to do that because people will tend to do all sorts of things. In fact, create their own jobs around their desk and keep busy all day, and it may have nothing to do with what you really want them to be doing. Goals keep people on track. They're focused. They provide a reason to do something, and also provide a reason to say no. You'll always be hit with a bunch of different things you need to do at work, or people ask you to do at work, and the best thing is to say, yeah, I'll do that because that is in agreement and in alignment with our overall corporate goals. I'm not doing that because it has nothing to do with reaching our corporate goals. That's a distraction. And you'll see over and over again where people will assign things to people that are distractions and will accept things that are distractions. Don't do it. Don't assign people things that have nothing to do with the company's goals, and don't take them on. Say, look, and you only know that if you have the written goals in place. Goals help us measure progress. When you have your goals set, you can tell whether you're getting there or not. If your goal is to, fly to the moon, if you're halfway there, you're halfway there. If your goal is you don't know what, but you take off on a rocket ship, you have no idea whether you're halfway to the moon or you're 1/billionth of a way to the Jupiter. So knowing where you're going helps you measure progress. And in business, that's basically numerical. It's your budget. It's your budget on what you intend to make, what you intend to sell, what you intend to do. All those budgeted factors are your goals, and the big goals and the littler goals brought back in, and the having them in place allows you to know how far you are and how close you are to attaining them, and also to measure your progress and even monitor it, and even really supervise the people that are supposed to get there. Goals are demanding and motivating. If people attain the goals, they've met the thing. If they exceed them, they've exceeded. If they haven't reached it, they haven't reached it. Those are that's what you should be defined in at work. I mean, there are a lot of other elements too, but did we make the goal? Did we come short? Did we pass it? That really makes it really easy to see how you're doing it in the job. You want to see, you want to reward people for doing really well. How can you do that if you don't have a goal? How can you, and we've all been there, if you've been working an amount of time, you have excellent performance and no one notices because there have been no goals set. That if you sold 100, well, okay, you sold 100, but it was amazing if you sold 80. You sold 20 more than 80. You're doing fantastic. You deserve a raise. If it's not in that context, it's very difficult to have those conversations about whether you're doing well, mediocrely, or poorly in your job. It really makes a big difference. As a supervisor, always set goals for your people at the beginning of the year. And goal achievement is highly satisfying personally. You think back on the things that you remember in life that you really stick with you. It's often about attaining a goal that you set for yourself and you reached it. I'll tell you, when you're in business, one of the most satisfying things is I got here, it was like this. When I left, it was like that. I set my goals and we got there. It's highly satisfying. It's one of the main reasons we do what we do. When you have goals in place and are accepted by the team, it avoids conflict and disagreement. Often you'll see people butt heads at work, or I want you to help me with this. I can't, because they don't really understand what the goals are. If the goals are in place and well understood, then if I am asking somebody else to help me with them, it's to attain the goal. If they say, oh yeah, of course I need to help, but that's about the goal. So with written goals in place, it's easier to supervise people, it's easier to work with your colleagues, easier to know where you're going, easier to say no, easier to say yes. Goals are really important to have in place for corporate conflict and disagreement resolution. And goals also they actually form the basis of inspired thinking and logic. When you have a goal, say, and remember a lot about the gap, say your goal was to sell 2,000 pair of a certain type of sneaker in a certain market, and you sold 1,000. What's the difference? You wanted to sell 2, you sold 1. You have a gap of 1,000 pairs of sneakers. So, fine? No, you say, what am I going to do to fix that? And that's the push towards creative thinking. It's knowing exactly what the goal is, which is the gap between what you wanted and what you have. To fix that is your goal. And all of a sudden you start thinking, how can I do that? Would it be, was my delivery not well? Was my customer service not good? Was the pricing too high? Were the materials shoddy? Did the quality not pan out? Was the style change I didn't catch? What were the things that made it, and so that not reach my goal? And then you start fixing them, because your mind is working on fixing that, the things that kept you from getting those goals. And that's where your creative thinking comes in. Goals form the basis of creative thinking. Without that, there's no push. If you ever sit around saying, I can't seem to think of anything, because you have no goals. So you have a goal, like say, my main goal is on next spring break, go to Tahiti. You'll start thinking of how to get there. Once you set the goal, you think, well, what does it take? I need to do this, and you'll find yourself getting there. Ideas are pushed by need. And in a corporate business, it's the need to attain those specific financial goals. And finally, goals help us with our vision for a desired future. Sometimes you don't reach the goal, but getting close to a great goal is more than wonderful. If you have a goal I used an example before of someone who wanted to put in clean water facilities in Africa to prevent kids from dying because of unsanitary conditions. You wanted to do 100 villages. You did 90. Man, that's a lot better than doing 0. You didn't get all of them, but you came close to your vision, you came close to your goal, and it's extremely positive for all involved. So goals help in their vision, they help reach closer and closer to the desired future. And then finally, I have a little sheet here. I repeated the guiding principles for there so you can see how this all fits in. And then there's a goal generator help sheet. I always use tools, like when I'm doing my strategic projects for clients. I've developed a tool for all these steps, and it really helps. So when you go in there and you think, okay, how do we get there? if in this phase you want to come up with a goal. So this is a goal generator help sheet. And remember, this right now we're not talking about how you get there. It's what do we want? What is our goal? What do we need to have? What number? What thing? Whatever it is. What do we need to see? That's the question. What's the question we ask? What's the issue needs addressing? What's our main problem? Fixing that as you're setting your goal. So okay, so whatever happens to be, again, going back to our shoe example, you're 1,000 shoes short. That's what we need to address. So then, I've used this dozens of times, so I can tell you that it does work. What you do is you don't give people hours and hours and hours or days and days and days to figure out the answer. You give them 120 seconds. And why is that? Because in business, we already know the answer. We've been sitting on it. We've been not looking at it. We're not addressing it. But I found that if you give people 1, 2, 3 minutes, it's the same thing as giving them 3 weeks. They come up with the exact same answers because you live it. You already know the answer. What would be, and again, a shoe thing, like I mentioned, well, why didn't our shoes sell? Something that right away, our salespeople aren't proactive enough. Our commissions are too low. The style is out of style. They fall apart. Our customer service isn't there. We don't have distribution adequate. Right away, people will come up and list the goals. Fix this, fix that, fix the distribution, improve the quality, do this kind of thing. Lower our and you'll come up with your goals, and it goes very fast, and it makes it fun, because if you go away and come back in 3 or 4 days, it's not much fun. But if you sit everybody in a room and say, okay, let's come up with some goals, and then they do this very quickly, and then what you do from there is you take you just have everybody around and you say, let me see all your goals, let's list them, rank them, and then we have our goals, and it works really, really well. And again, if we were in class face-to-face thing, I would go through this little exercise with you. It shows how well this goal generator tactic works, but it's very highly effective. So basically, what you do, you give people a short amount of time to come up with goals that fix the things they see wrong, and then you put them all together and say, let's all agree on the top 5 goals, and then let's rank them. And those are your goals, and it works beautifully. Okay, please let me know if you have any questions on this. Email or phone me, and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks a lot.